The wind howled around the Statue of Liberty, sharp and cold, as if warning the world to stay away. But Eli didn't listen. He stood alone near the edge of the platform, staring up at the giant figure that had watched over the city for centuries. Rain fell, light at first, then heavier, but he stayed, his hand resting on the cold green metal of the statue's foot. He didn't know why he was here, not really, he just felt drawn. Eli was no hero. He wasn't a scientist or a soldier. He was just a maintenance worker, sent to check a strange energy spike the city's sensors had detected from the statue. It was probably nothing, they said. Maybe a glitch, a loose wire, a power surge. But now, standing here in the storm, he felt something was different, something alive. His fingers brushed a crack in the metal. Wait, a crack? The statue had always looked flawless, untouched, but now there was a deep fracture running up from her ankle to her knee. He leaned in closer. Warmth. The metal wasn't cold anymore. It was warm, like skin. And then it pulsed. Eli jumped back, eyes wide. The crack widened, glowing from within. A soft hum filled the air, rising like a whisper, not mechanical, but alive, musical almost. Lightning flashed, and in that flash, he saw the eyes. The statue blinked. He froze, heart racing. No one else was there. No cameras, no guards, no tourists, just him. And her. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing with a soft blue light that cut through the rain. She didn't speak, not at first. She just looked at him, confused, dazed, like someone waking up from a deep dream. He stepped back in fear, nearly falling. But something in her gaze stopped him. It wasn't anger. It was sadness, pain, loneliness. Then she whispered, her voice soft like wind across glass. "Are you human?" Eli nodded slowly, too stunned to speak. The statue, no, the woman, blinked again, and her entire body began to change. The metal shell cracked and peeled away, falling like old skin. Underneath was smooth, pale skin with faint glowing patterns across her arms and chest. She was beautiful, but not in a human way. Her features were slightly different, her eyes larger, her ears pointed, her face both strange and familiar, alien, but not terrifying. She stumbled forward, weak, and Eli caught her just in time. "You freed me," she whispered before collapsing in his arms. He held her, unsure of what to do. Was she injured? Was she dangerous? But all he saw was fear in her eyes. She looked like someone who had waited a very long time. Eli carried her down the staircase inside the statue, avoiding security cameras. His heart pounded with every step. What was she? Why was she inside the Statue of Liberty? Why him? Once inside the hidden maintenance room below, he gently placed her on an old cot used by workers. She didn't move, only shivered slightly. Her skin was glowing faintly, but fading. She looked cold, so he took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. For the first time in his life, Eli felt like he was part of something bigger, something ancient, something dangerous. But he wasn't scared, not for himself. He was scared for her. A small device fell from her chest, clicking as it hit the floor. He picked it up. It looked like a metallic pendant with strange alien symbols etched into it. When he touched it, images flashed in his mind. Fire, war, betrayal. And Earth. He saw her standing in a courtroom of light, judged by others of her kind. Then, punished, frozen, locked inside the statue with technology humans didn't even understand. She was no weapon. She was a prisoner. Eli dropped the pendant, gasping for air. His hands shook. She had been in there for hundreds of years, watching the world change around her, unable to move, to speak, to breathe. Suddenly, she stirred again, her voice barely a whisper. "Don't let them take me again." Eli looked toward the door, hearing the faint sound of drones outside. The government had noticed something was wrong. They were coming. They would take her, lock her up again, maybe even kill her. They wouldn't understand. But he did. He grabbed his tools, stuffed the pendant into his pocket, and turned back to her. "I'm not going to let that happen," he said softly. "Not again." She opened her glowing eyes, and for the first time she smiled. Asterisk. The old warehouse near the edge of the city groaned under the weight of the rain and wind. Eli had driven her there in an old maintenance truck, covered in dust and half dead from years of sitting unused. He didn't care about the law, about the risks, or about what people might think. All he knew was if anyone found her, they'd lock her away again. The alien girl was asleep in the back of the truck. Curled under thick blankets Eli had grabbed from his storage locker. Her breathing was soft, her body still glowing faintly with strange blue veins of light beneath her pale skin. She looked peaceful but broken. Eli watched her for a long moment, wondering how someone so powerful could also seem so fragile. Then he opened the warehouse doors and carefully carried her inside. The place smelled of oil and metal, but it was dry, warm, and safe for now. He laid her down on an old mattress in the corner, tucked her in, and then sat nearby on a metal crate. The silence between them felt heavy. He couldn't sleep. Too many questions circled in his mind. Who was she? Why had she been hidden inside the Statue of Liberty for centuries? And why did she look so scared? He pulled the strange metallic pendant from his pocket, turning it over slowly. The alien symbols still glowed softly. He didn't understand them, but when he touched it, a warm pulse traveled through his fingers. It felt alive. Suddenly, the girl stirred. She gasped, sitting up quickly and breathing hard. Her eyes wide with panic, Eli jumped up and rushed to her side. Hey, it's okay," he said softly. "You're safe. I brought you somewhere quiet." She looked around the warehouse, her shoulders shaking. Then her eyes found him, her voice cracked as she spoke. "Where am I?" "Old repair shop," Eli replied. "Outside the city, far from the statue." She leaned back slowly, resting her head against the wall. I didn't know if anyone would ever come," she whispered. Her English was broken but clear enough. She had learned fast, too fast. Ailey sat back down on the crate, holding the pendant in his hand again. "This showed me something," he said. "I saw flashes of your past, like visions, like pain." The girl nodded slowly. "They judged me," she said. "My people, my kind. They called me a traitor." "Why?" "I tried to protect Earth," she said, eyes staring at the dusty ceiling. "They wanted to destroy your kind. Said humans were violent, unworthy. But I saw something different." She turned her glowing eyes toward him. Humans, you fight, yes, but you also feel care, sacrifice. I tried to stop the order, and they punished me." Eli's chest tightened. "You were locked inside that statue for centuries?" She nodded. "They trapped me in metal, made me a symbol, a joke, but I could still hear, feel, see, every day, every night. Waiting." Eli's hands clenched into fists. "That's not right," he said, his voice low. "You were buried alive. They feared me," she said quietly. "Feared I would bring war. But I only wanted peace." Silence fell again, broken only by the sound of distant thunder. Then her hand reached out slowly toward the pendant in Eli's palm. "It's called the Star Key," she said. "My memory, my power, it's locked within it." Eli looked at it, confused. "You mean this thing can unlock your full memories?" "Yes," she whispered. "But it is dangerous. If I remember everything, they will know." "They?" "The ones who imprisoned me," she said. "If the Star Key activates, it will send a signal across the stars." Eli swallowed hard. "So, they'll come back," she nodded slowly. "They will come to silence me forever." Eli stood and began pacing. His mind raced with 100 thoughts at once. He looked at her again, her weak body, her frightened eyes, the glowing skin. He couldn't leave her, not now. She looked up at him, suddenly nervous. "Will you leave me?" He stopped walking. "What?" "No, of course not. You're human," she said, voice trembling. "My own kind feared me. Why wouldn't yours?" Eli knelt beside her, placing the Star Key beside her hand. "Because I saw the pain in your eyes," he said. "And you're not a weapon. You're a prisoner begging for help." Tears welled in her glowing eyes. No one had said that to her in 300 years. No one had seen her, not truly, not until him outside. Distant engines hummed. The government was looking inside. Two souls sat together in a broken warehouse, one human, one alien, and both were afraid of what was coming. But for the first time in centuries, she didn't feel alone. The night grew deeper, and the warehouse grew colder. Eli added more blankets around her, but she barely moved. She was breathing, but her skin glowed less now, fading like a dying light bulb. He could tell whatever was inside her, it was draining. Eli sat close, watching her with a mix of awe and fear. She was not human, not even close. She could lift cars, melt metal, send thoughts into his mind, and yet she clung to life like a child in a storm. He wanted to ask so many questions, but something in her expression stopped him. She wasn't just tired, she was scared. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded slowly, her voice hoarse. "Your world feels heavy." Eli didn't understand at first. Then she explained. "Gravity, emotion, memory. It's like holding the sky on my chest." He helped her sit up gently. She winced, clutching her ribs. Eli noticed strange bruises forming under her skin, glowing blue marks that shimmered like starlight. "Are you dying?" he asked quietly. "I don't know," she whispered. "I was made to hold power, not to feel this much." Eli shook his head. "No, you weren't made to suffer alone." She looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then slowly, she reached out and touched his forehead with her fingers. In that moment, a vision hit him. A swirling burst of color, stars being born, cities floating in the clouds. He saw her in a silver suit of armor, leading her people, smiling, powerful. And then, chains, betrayal, darkness and silence. The metal prison, the centuries inside the statue. Watching the world change while she stayed frozen in time, Eli gasped, falling back. His heart pounded as he came back to reality, sweat on his brow. Looked at her again, this time not just as an alien, but as someone who had been crushed by time and pain. "You were a queen," he whispered. She didn't deny it. "I was a guardian," she corrected. "My people called me Lithara." Eli repeated the name softly. Lithara. Something about it felt right. "I had the power to burn cities," she said slowly, "or bring life to entire planets." Eli swallowed hard. "And now you're trusting me with that?" She smiled weakly. "You're the only one who didn't run." Suddenly, loud clanging echoed through the warehouse walls. Eli jumped to his feet, his heart racing. Drones. He peeked through a crack in the wooden wall. Small black machines hovered outside, scanning, blinking red lights sweeping across the shadows. "They found us," he whispered. Lithara tried to stand but stumbled. Eli caught her again. "You can't fight them like this," he said. "I must," she replied. "If they take me again, I won't survive another century." "No," Eli said firmly. "We're getting out of here." He grabbed his bag, stuffed the star key inside, and helped her toward the back exit. But just as they reached the door, the entire warehouse shook. A blast hit the front entrance, sending fire and smoke into the air. They were being attacked, not captured, not questioned, but erased. "Why are they shooting?" Eli shouted. "They think I'm still a weapon," she said, "and maybe I am." Her eyes lit up suddenly, glowing brighter than before. Energy surged through her hands, and a protective shield shimmered around them, blocking the next drone. Blast. Eli stared, stunned. "You said you were weak." "I was," she replied, "until you gave me something back." "What?" "Hope." The door behind them opened, and they rushed into the alley. Lithara struggled to walk, but she used Eli's arm to steady herself. With every step, her glow returned stronger. A drone followed them, shooting another blast. Without thinking, Eli picked up a rusted metal pipe and smacked it away. It sparked and crashed. Lithara looked at him, surprised. "You're not afraid of me?" She asked. "I'm afraid for you," he replied, breathless. And maybe a little afraid of what comes next. She stopped, placing her hand on the star key in his bag. If I use this, I'll remember everything, she said. But I may not be the same. Eli hesitated. What do you want? She looked into his eyes. I want to stay, she said. I want to live, not as a statue, not as a weapon, but as someone free, he nodded. Then we fight for that. Far above, the stars shimmered, and something stirred in the distance beyond. Earth's sky, a presence, a signal, watching. But down on Earth, in a broken alley and a ruined city, a human and an alien stood side by side, one with a spark, the other with the power to light up galaxies, and for the first time, she believed she wasn't alone anymore. Asterisk, the night was still, but beneath the surface of New York City, something ancient stirred. Eli led Lithara through a narrow maintenance tunnel beneath the streets. He had worked these underground lines for years, fixing broken systems, patching power conduits, but he never imagined he'd be using them to hide an alien. Girl who had once been a living statue. Lithara's steps were unsteady, but she was recovering. Every few hours her body glowed brighter, her voice steadier, her eyes more alive, still. Eli knew she was not safe yet, not from the government, and not from the ones watching the sky. They had fled the warehouse just in time. Eli heard the distant news. Explosion at an abandoned site. They blamed it on old gas lines. But Eli knew better. They wanted her gone, and they wouldn't stop. Where are we going? She asked softly, her voice echoing in the dark tunnel. There's an old site beneath the city, Eli replied. No one goes there anymore. Power grid used to run through it, but it's all sealed off now. Lithara tilted her head, eyes narrowing. There's something there. Something old. L.A. gave her a sideways glance. You can feel it? She nodded. I don't know what. But it's calling. After walking for nearly 2 miles underground, they reached a large rusted door, sealed with warning signs in old tech. Eli used his override code, one he wasn't supposed to know anymore, and the door groaned open. Slowly, what waited behind it made them both stop. A wide chamber, half covered in dust and roots, stretched out beneath the city like a forgotten temple, and in the center, a smooth, round structure made of shimmering silver metal pulsed gently with light. Lithara gasped, her eyes wide. That's not human, she whispered. Eli stepped closer, feeling the strange energy tingle through his skin. What is it? She walked toward it slowly, like approaching a memory. This is one of the star relays, she said. It was used by my kind to connect across galaxies. Her fingers touched the surface and the room lit up. Symbols appeared on the walls, glowing blue and white, floating in the air like holograms, images of stars, maps, unknown planets. And Earth, marked in red. Eli stared, overwhelmed. You mean they were here before? Long before your history began, she whispered. Earth was a test, a seed world, to see if life could grow without guidance. And did it? She looked at him with a soft smile. You did more than grow. You became something unique. But her smile faded when she turned to the red-marked Earth projection. This signal, she whispered. It's been active this whole time. What does it mean? She stepped back, her expression tense. It means they still monitor this world. They know I'm awake now. Eli's heart dropped. Then we don't have much time, she nodded slowly. I must unlock the rest of my memory, she said. The answers. The reason I was chosen to be imprisoned. It's all inside me. But you said using the star key will alert them directly. Eli said. They're already watching, she replied. If we're going to survive this, I need to remember who I was. Eli handed her the star key, his hands trembling. Then let's do it. Lithara pressed the key against the center of her chest, and the reaction was immediate. Her body lifted off the ground slightly, glowing with brilliant light. Her eyes closed, and images swirled around her visions that even Eli could see. A council of alien leaders, planets in flames, a ship carrying Lithara fleeing toward Earth, And then the truth: she had tried to stop a war. She had given humans the chance to grow. But her people feared the strength of Earth's violent emotions: love, anger, loyalty, and sacrifice. They feared Earth would someday challenge the galaxy, so they locked her inside a statue and erased the proof of her mission. Eli fell to his knees, shocked. You tried to protect us from your own people. She landed gently back on the floor, her eyes now glowing with golden light. I failed once, she said. I won't again. Suddenly, the star relay flashed red, an alert. A signal had been sent. They were no longer just being watched. They were being hunted. Lithara turned to Eli. They're coming. How long do we have? He asked. She looked up, her voice calm but serious. Not long. Eli stood up, his fear replaced by something stronger: determination. Then we prepare, he said. You've got me, and this time, you're not facing them alone. Lithara touched his arm, her voice soft. You shouldn't have to fight my war. It's our war now, he replied. And deep beneath the streets of New York, a human and an alien stood inside a forgotten chamber of stars. The past was awake. The truth was revealed, and the storm was coming. The sky above Earth turned darker than night, not from clouds, but from something far more terrifying. A massive alien ship appeared above New York City, shaped like a floating mountain, covered in black metal that shimmered like glass. It made no sound, yet the entire world felt it. Phones went dead, planes froze in the air, satellites blinked out. Eli and Lithara stood inside the underground star relay chamber, watching as warning lights flashed around them. They're here, Lithara said quietly, her voice like ice. Eli's heart pounded. He didn't need her to explain. He could feel it too. Something ancient and evil had returned. And it wasn't here to talk. The alien ship released a pulse across the atmosphere. Cities lost power, governments went silent, and above the clouds, thousands of small black drones spread out like insects, scanning the planet below. Why are they doing this? Eli asked. They want to erase me, Lithara said. And anyone who helped me. Eli took a deep breath. They think we're weak, he said. They think we won't fight back. Lithara looked at him, her expression soft but sad. They're right. Your weapons can't touch them. Outside, the world watched in fear. Leaders argued, armies prepared, but nothing responded. Missiles were launched but vanished before hitting their targets. Fighter jets disappeared without a sound. It was not a war, it was a warning. Back in the star relay chamber, Lithara touched the glowing panel and closed her eyes. I can't beat them alone, she whispered. My body is still recovering. But there is one chance. Eli leaned forward. What is it? She opened her eyes and looked directly at him. You. Me? My powers are linked to emotion, she said, to connection. When I was inside the statue, I faded because I had no one, no bond. And now? You gave me purpose, she said. That changed everything. If you stay close, if your presence grounds me, I might be able to access the last phase of my ability. Eli blinked. Isn't that dangerous? She nodded. If it fails, I won't survive. Eli stepped forward without hesitation. Then we don't let it fail. She placed her hand gently on his chest. A light spread from her fingers into his skin, and for a moment, their hearts beat in perfect rhythm. His mind opened to hers again. Memories, hopes, pain, and power flowed like a river. And far above, inside the alien mothership, something responded. Target has bonded with human, a deep voice said. Accelerate termination protocol. Back. Underground, Lithara collapsed to her knees, energy surging through her body. Eli caught her before she hit the floor. What's happening? He asked, panicked. They're trying to shut me down, she whispered. They know I've activated the core. They're coming for me now. Suddenly, a high-pitched sound rang through the chamber, and part of the ceiling exploded inward. 3 black-cloaked alien soldiers dropped in, their armor glowing with red symbols. Eli stepped in front of Lithara without thinking. The lead alien raised his arm, a blade of light forming in his hand. Move, human, the voice said in broken English. No, Eli replied, voice shaking but firm. She's not your prisoner anymore. The alien's eyes narrowed. You will die for her. Then I die standing, Eli said. But before the alien could strike, a surge of golden light burst from Lithara's body. Knocking all 3 soldiers backward, she rose, floating slightly off the ground, eyes burning like suns. Her voice was no longer soft, it echoed like thunder. No more chains, she said. No more silence. With a wave of her hand, the alien soldiers vanished in a flash of light, disintegrated like dust. Eli stared in shock. Are you okay? He asked. She nodded slowly, landing on her feet. For now, but they both knew it was just the beginning outside. News cameras captured the alien ship hovering above the city. People screamed, ran, prayed, but then something new appeared from the base of the Statue of Liberty. A beam of golden light shot into the sky. The statue glowed, reforming, transforming. It wasn't a statue anymore. It was her armor, her ancient form returning, built not of copper, but of alien metal and light. Eli and Lithara surfaced at the island moments later. She walked toward the base, her body shining with raw energy. I must merge with it, she said. It's the only way to reach them. Eli stepped forward. Then I'm coming with you. You could die, she warned. I'd rather die fighting for you than live running from them, he said. She smiled for the first time in hours, and as the world watched, the statue came alive. The alien enemy had returned with all its power, and humanity stood powerless, but not alone, because now the most powerful being in the galaxy had chosen Earth as her home. And one brave human had given her the strength to rise again. The world froze. Every screen, every eye, every heart all locked onto Liberty Island. For centuries, she had stood still, holding her torch in silence. Now she moved, metal cracked, copper peeled, and stone shattered as the Statue of Liberty transformed before the world's eyes. She wasn't a monument anymore. She was a being of living metal, glowing veins of golden energy running through her body. And inside her Lithara, fully awakened, fully alive. Eli stood in the heart of the ancient armor, next to a control node that pulsed with light. He could barely breathe. The walls were warm, alive, shaped like a blend of technology and muscle. This wasn't just a suit, it was her final form. The statue took a step forward, shaking the earth. Water rippled around the island, and boats nearby were tossed like toys, the alien mothership hanging. And the sky began to respond. Its surface shifted, its shape changed. Dozens of smaller ships detached from its body like hornets from a nest. They flew fast, forming attack patterns, preparing to strike. They're coming, Eli said, gripping the handles beside him. I see them, Lithara replied from the glowing core, her voice echoing all around him. But this time, I'm not alone. The armor lit up completely, forming new weapons out of light and memory. A massive shield rose over her left arm, and her right hand transformed into a long, shining blade. The sky above New York turned orange, then red, as alien ships fired energy blasts down toward Earth. The statue raised her arm, and a golden shield blocked the first wave. The ground trembled beneath her feet. Crowds screamed in fear, and then in awe. She's protecting us, someone whispered. The words spread like fire across every city, every country, every soul. People watched, not in fear, but in wonder. The alien fighters circled like vultures, their weapons hot with plasma. Ele held on tight as Lithara moved forward, faster now, more confident. This armor remembers me, she said. It still knows who I am. Energy blast struck again, and the shield cracked slightly. Lithara roared, her voice carried through the skies as if amplified by the wind itself. She struck back, her blade slicing through the sky, tearing one enemy ship in half. Explosions lit up the air like fireworks, but it wasn't enough. There were too many. They're surrounding us. Eli warned, we'll never win if we stay here. I know, she said. Then we take the fight to them. With one deep breath, The statue bent its knees and leapt. The ground shattered below, waves exploded outward, and the entire form of the statue launched into the air. It rose higher, past skyscrapers, past the clouds, toward the mothership, inside the alien command center. Panic spread. "Primary unit is airborne," a voice reported. "She has activated the ancient frame. She must be destroyed now," another voice hissed. "Use the planet cutter." A hidden weapon unfolded from beneath the mothership. Glowing red, it charged slowly, aiming not at Lithara but at Earth. "They're going to destroy the whole planet," Eli shouted. Lithara didn't answer. She was focused, locked in battle. Enemy ships swarmed her, but her blade danced through them, cutting with precision, with memory. Every strike came from centuries of training. Every block came with pain remembered. But even she couldn't stop. The weapon charging behind them until Eli saw it. "Lithara!" He yelled. "They're not after you. They're after everyone." Her golden eyes widened. She turned sharply, flying toward the massive cannon, but the enemy ships closed in. "Again, too many too fast, Eli," she said softly. "I need more." He looked around the chamber. "What do I do?" "Feel," she whispered. "Feel everything, hope, fear. Love, just don't let go." Eli closed his eyes and placed his hand on the glowing control core. And suddenly, the ship responded, not just to her, but to him. Energy surged through the statue, brighter than ever. Her armor repaired itself mid-flight. Her blade grew longer and her shield stronger. Together, they pushed forward in one final strike. Lithara threw her sword into the charging weapon. The explosion was massive, silent, blinding, beautiful. The mothership shook, its systems collapsed, and the enemy forces panicked. But the statue was falling. She had used everything, all her power, all her strength. Eli held on as the armor cracked around him. "Lithara, stay with me," he cried. I'm here," she whispered weakly. "But I don't know if I can hold together." As the statue fell from the sky like a wounded angel, the people below reached out, not in fear, but in faith. They ran toward the crashing light, not away from it. And in that moment, as the statue crashed into the river, the world remembered what it meant to be human, to fight, to love, to protect. And in the shattered light of a falling goddess, humanity stood up. The river smoked as chunks of glowing metal sank beneath the waves. Pieces of the broken statue floated to the surface, silent, scorched, and drifting. Crowds stood on the shore, their hands over their mouths, their eyes wide with grief. "She's gone," someone whispered. "No," another voice said, trembling. "She saved us." Boats rushed to the site, emergency lights flickering through the mist. And then someone saw movement from beneath the wreckage. A golden light began to glow again, faint but real. A rescue diver reached out, and a pale hand broke the water's surface, delicate, glowing, shaking. It was her, Lithara, no longer a giant, no longer armored in copper and steel. Just a girl again, weak, soaked, but breathing. She was cradling someone in her arms, Eli, unconscious, his face pale and still. She barely had the strength to swim, but she refused to let go of him. "He gave me everything," she whispered, her voice barely above the wind. "He made me remember who I was." The divers pulled them both from the water. Laying them on the boat deck, Lithara collapsed beside Eli, her hand still gripping his shirt. "Come on," one of the medics said, pumping Eli's chest. "Come on, kid," another medic checked Lithara. "She's not human," he said, unsure what to do. "She's more than human." A voice answered from the crowd. "She saved the world." And then Eli coughed, gasped, and opened his eyes. Lithara turned her head slowly, her face pale but smiling. "You're alive," she whispered. "So are you," he replied weakly. "Told you I wasn't leaving." The world watched as the rescue boat returned to shore. Reporters shouted, cameras flashed, but no one got too close. They were afraid, not of her, but of disrespecting someone they now saw as a protector, Lithura looked around, dazed. What happens now? She asked Eli. I don't know, he said honestly. But I think they're waiting for you to speak. A microphone was handed to him, but he passed it to her. She stood slowly, wrapped in a blanket, her voice soft but clear. I was once a prisoner inside your statue, she said. Watched by millions, but truly seen by none. The crowd fell silent. One human changed that, she continued. He saw me not as a threat, not as a goddess, but as a person. She looked at Eli, then back at the people. I came to this world to protect it from what was coming, she said. But it was this world. This man who saved me. A long silence followed, and then applause. It began small, hesitant, then rose into a roar. People cheered, cried, lifted signs, not with fear, but with pride. She was no longer a secret, no longer a statue. She was theirs. Days passed. The alien fleet had vanished, their power broken when Lithura destroyed the mothership. Pieces of their ships were studied by scientists, but no sign of return appeared. Governments tried to claim her, question her, protect her, but she chose to stay with Eli. They moved into a quiet home outside the city, far from the noise, far from the fame. Every night, they watched the stars together. She taught him names of constellations his people never knew. He taught her how to make pancakes. She laughed. He listened. And the world slowly moved on, but never forgot. One morning, Lithura stood on a hill overlooking the city. The sunlight touched her skin, and she closed her eyes. Eli stepped beside her, his coffee steaming in his hand. Do you miss it? He asked. The statue? She smiled gently. It was never really mine, she said. It was their dream, their hope. I was just hiding inside it. Eli nodded. And now? Now I'm free, she said, and still watching over them. She turned to him, placing her hand in his. Not from a pedestal, not from a monument, she whispered, but side by side, with the one who saw me, touched me, and believed I was more than a symbol. He squeezed her hand. And I always will, he said. Above them, the sky was clear, the city was safe, and somewhere deep in every heart across the earth, they knew the Statue of Liberty had walked. She had fought, she had fallen, but she rose again, not as a statue, not as a weapon, but as a protector. And to one human man, she would always be more than that. She was his miracle, his warrior, his forever.